At the impressive Galactic Assembly Hall, a stunning blend of polished crystals and vibrant energy barriers buzzed with anticipation. Envoys from various extraterrestrial races, each clad in their cultural ceremonial attire, packed the semicircular amphitheater. Dominating the center was the imposing Arian sovereign, whose mere presence enforced quiet. His green, scaly exterior shimmered beneath the assembly dome's radiant light, while his compound eyes surveyed the attending ambassadors with deliberate dominance. Among them, humans were the outliers. In this gathering, the human delegation was positioned away from the central stage. 3 individuals in stark navy attire sat stiffly, their faces inscrutable. Leading them was Commander Eleanor Stone, her keen features set off by a straightforward bob of dark hair. To her right, Dr. Evan Walsh, a civilian consultant known for his astute acumen masked by a disarming demeanor, and to her left, Major Harold King, a stern, muscular warrior, appeared as though hewn from rock. The sovereign's voice, magnified by the hall's acoustics, struck like a judicial hammer. "Humanity," he declared, his tone laden with scorn, "we have evaluated your kind and find you lacking." A soft buzz of whispers filled the air as some delegates shared looks and others leaned in, anticipating the unfolding spectacle. Eleanor Stone's jaw clenched, yet she held her silence, her eyes steadfast on the sovereign. "You boast of intellect," he continued, "yet intellect without valor is futile. You lack a history of cosmic warfare, notable achievements and conquest, and any distinguished repute. Tell me, what is the value of a race that has never showcased its might in battle?" Commander Stone rose deliberately, her crisp uniform catching the light. Her steps brought her to the orator's platform, where she confronted the sovereign with undaunted assurance. "We do not equate value with the ability to wreak havoc, sovereign," she stated, her voice composed yet assertive. "Humanity cherishes diplomacy, innovation, and collaboration. Yet, do not mistake our restraint for weakness." The sovereign's eyes narrowed, his mandibles clattering in annoyance. A typical justification, diplomacy and restraint are but the shields of the fearful. Perhaps the reality is simpler, humans are fearful. The chamber erupted into murmurs and scoffs. Commander Stone remained poised, her gaze unwavering. "Sovereign," she countered, her voice now cutting through the noise to quiet the room, "humanity has withstood ages of adversity, wars, plagues, natural disasters. We are not fearful, we are resilient." From his seat, Major King muttered quietly, "They won't heed, Commander. Their minds are already made up." Stone showed no sign of acknowledging him. Instead, she addressed the council, "If you seek to challenge us, proceed. But be aware, humanity will neither submit nor shatter." The sovereign's laughter boomed across the hall, a sound more bestial than sentient. "Challenge you? Very well, let us see what humans are truly capable of." A week later, the challenge was met as the Empire's battle fleet descended upon Theta Outpost, an isolated human settlement on the edge of known space, poorly defended. The outpost's scant forces were swiftly subdued in what was not an attack but a display. The Empire publicized their triumph galaxy-wide, presenting it as evidence of human weakness. On Earth, the imagery of defeated settlers and victorious alien troops played on every screen, a harsh reminder of humanity's fragile standing. In the command center of the United Nations Space Command, President Victoria Hayes watched in somber silence. Around her, military and political leaders debated response strategies. "This was a deliberate provocation," fumed General Marcus Redfield, his face reddened with anger. "They didn't just attack, they ensured the galaxy watched." "We must retaliate," insisted Admiral Sophia Torres. President Hayes raised a hand for silence. "Admiral, General, your zeal is noted, but we cannot afford impulsive actions. We need strategic precision," she said, her gaze shifting to Commander Stone, standing quietly at the back. "Commander, is the initiative prepared?" The room hushed, all eyes turned to Stone. She stepped forward, her tone resolute. "It is ready, Madam President, but deploying it will forever alter how the galaxy perceives us." "Good," replied Hayes, "let them see." Across the Empire, the victory was celebrated, yet in the shadows, whispers of humanity's impending response began to circulate. On a desolate moon, a sleek black vessel known as the Revenant, part of the Phantom-class cruisers, launched silently into space. Its crew, a dozen experts in unorthodox warfare, represented humanity's covert response. Major King, now commanding officer of the Revenant, had guided its inception. These were not mere soldiers, they were shadows personified, trained for stealth, precision, and psychological warfare. To their adversaries, they would not appear as warriors, but as specters. King briefed his crew in the dimly lit room aboard the ship. "Our mission is straightforward," he stated, his voice gravelly yet firm. "Infiltrate Empire territory, assess their strengths and vulnerabilities, and remind them of their fear of us." A younger soldier, Corporal Reyes, expressed his apprehension. "With all due respect, sir, isn't this more than a reminder? We're initiating a conflict." King's gaze hardened. "Not conflict," he corrected, "retribution." Back on Earth, Commander Stone stood at a viewing platform as the Revenant vanished into the stars. Beside her, Dr. Walsh adjusted his glasses, a contemplative look on his face. "Do you believe they will succeed?" he asked. "They must," Stone replied, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "The Empire deemed us cowards. They are about to confront the entities that haunt our nightmares." The Galactic Assembly Hall felt distant, but its impact lingered. Humanity had been underestimated, mocked, and challenged. Now, the galaxy would witness another facet of humanity, a side that had been hidden until necessity dictated otherwise. The nightmares were approaching, and the Empire was woefully unprepared. As the Revenant traversed the void, its matte black hull absorbing the darkness of space, inside, the atmosphere was tense but determined. Each member of the crew was a specialist, their skills sharpened by years of rigorous training. They were humanity's retort to the galaxy's arrogance, a precise instrument where others wielded blunt force. Major Harold King stood in the operations room, observing the holographic map of Hearth Prime, the Empire's fortified prison colony that had been converted to detain humans from the Theta outpost assault. For King, the strategy was clear: instill fear in the heart of the enemy while rescuing their compatriots. "We'll execute the mission in 3 stages, he explained, his voice a steady rumble exuding authority. Phase 1, infiltration. Phase 2, extraction. Phase 3, deliver a message." A flicker of dark humor crossed his scarred face as he emphasized the final point. Corporal Reyes, the team's technical expert, leaned in, his youthful vigor a stark contrast to the battle-hardened soldiers around him. "What sort of message are we conveying, sir?" "The kind they will never forget," King answered. The Revenant stealthily entered Hearth Prime's orbit, its cloaking systems evading even the most advanced Empire sensors. The landscape was a stark stretch of jagged red rocks, punctuated only by the daunting prison complex, shielded by energy barriers and heavily guarded. The nightmares had no interest in a frontal assault. King led his team in a stealth pod, its engines silent, leaving no trace as they landed in a desolate canyon not far from the prison's outer limits. As they disembarked, their dark combat suits blended perfectly with the shadows. Each soldier was equipped with weapons designed for the mission: silenced rail guns, energy blades, and high-tech drones capable of disrupting enemy ranks. Reyes took charge of aerial surveillance. "Eyes in the sky," Kane instructed. Reyes launched a microdrone, which soared upwards, relaying a real-time view of the facility back to their wrist-mounted displays. Despite the daunting security, patrol drones, guards, and automated turrets, the odds were overwhelming. Yet, Kane's team moved with exacting precision. Phase 1 commenced with eerie effectiveness. The Nightmares infiltrated the outer perimeter, disabling sensors and neutralizing guards before any alarms could sound. Their suits muffled any noise, and their movements were ghost-like, leaving no trace of their intrusion. Sergeant Dahlia Quinn, the team's close combat expert, silently eliminated 2 guards with swift strikes from her energy blade. Behind her, Lieutenant Marcus Vance, the demolitions specialist, positioned explosives on the energy barrier's controls. Charges set, Vance whispered into the comms. C's voice responded, "Hold until extraction is complete. We'll bring the fireworks when we're done." Phase 2 began deep within the prison, where the human captives were detained. Reyes skillfully bypassed the security systems, his fingers flying over a portable terminal, allowing the reinforced doors to slide open. The prisoners, gaunt, terrified, yet alive, stared in disbelief at their rescuers. "We're getting you out," Quinn stated, her tone gentle yet commanding. "Move quietly and stay close." One of the captives, a young woman clutching a child, hesitated. "Who are you?" Quinn's lips curved into a slight smile. "The monsters they sent to fight monsters." The extraction was quick, though not without hurdles. As the team escorted the prisoners towards the extraction point, they encountered a patrol. Alarms blared, filling the corridors with red light. "Contact!" Vance shouted, engaging the guards. The Nightmares shifted seamlessly into combat mode. Reyes used his drone to disable automated turrets while King and Quinn provided cover. Vance's strategically placed explosives created bottlenecks, slowing the enemy reinforcements. "Move, move!" King commanded, ushering the prisoners towards the extraction pod. By the time the prisoners were safely aboard the Revenant, the prison was in turmoil. Empire forces scrambled to regain control, but the Nightmares weren't finished. Phase 3 was about to commence. "Vance," C said, his tone predatory, lighted up. From the safety of their cloaked ship, Vance triggered the explosives. Explosions tore through the facility, dismantling its defenses and engulfing the complex in flames. Above the inferno, a holographic projection flickered to life, a human skull enveloped in shadows. Beneath it a single line in the Empire's trade language: "You called us cowards, now meet your nightmares." The aftermath of the Hearth Prime raid echoed across the galaxy. Survivors from the prison spoke of their saviors in revered tones, describing them as wraiths who struck with precision and vanished like smoke. To the Empire, the incident was a humiliation. A supposedly impregnable facility had been reduced to rubble, and their triumph over humanity now seemed like a prelude to something far grimmer. In the Imperial military war rooms, panic spread like wildfire. Reports of ghostly figures and mysterious sabotage surfaced from other outposts. Whether these incidents were the work of the Nightmares or the result of paranoia, the effect was the same: fear. The Arion Sovereign, observing footage of the raid, felt the first stirrings of doubt. Humanity had been a minor annoyance, an afterthought, but now they had emerged as a threat, a race willing to embrace the shadows to protect their own. Back on the Revenant, the Nightmares prepared for their next mission. Despite their success, there was no celebration. For King and his team, this was just the beginning. In the quiet of the ship's observation deck, Reyes approached C. "Do you think the message got through, sir?" C's gaze remained fixed on the stars. "They'll hear us, Reyes. The question is whether they'll listen before it's too late." The Revenant vanished into the void once more, leaving behind nothing but whispers of terror. Humanity's shadows had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Empire's final assault came without warning, a blunt and brutal display of force meant to extinguish humanity in one decisive strike. A massive fleet of warships, bristling with weapons and teeming with soldiers, appeared in Earth's orbit, transforming the night skies into a tapestry of shimmering doom. Cities below plunged into chaos as the Empire broadcast its ultimatum: unconditional surrender or annihilation. In the United Nations Space Command's war room, President Victoria Hayes stood among her advisors, her expression a mask of calm defiance. On the main screen, the sovereign's visage loomed, his scaly face twisted in contempt. "You defied us," he sneered. "Now you will kneel or be eradicated." Hayes's response was as cold as the void. "We will not kneel. If you wish to test us further, then by all means, try." The sovereign's image vanished, replaced by the sight of the Empire's fleet advancing. "Time to impact?" Hayes asked, her voice steely. 20 minutes, a technician replied, standing to the side. Major Henry King exchanged a glance with Commander Eleanor Stone. The Nightmares were already on the move, slipping aboard cloaked shuttles en route to the enemy fleet. This would be their most dangerous mission yet, a coordinated effort to cripple the Empire's flagship and turn the tide of the battle before it began. Aboard the flagship, Dominion's Wrath, the Nightmares moved with eerie precision. King led the team, each step calculated, each command a whispered directive. They had infiltrated the ship through maintenance ducts, bypassing patrols and automated defenses. The corridors were a maze of cold metal and pulsing energy conduits, but Reyes's portable scanner guided them unerringly toward the ship's central power core. As they approached their target, Quinn noticed a group of alien engineers. With a flick of her wrist, she activated her energy blade, her expression unreadable. "Silent or loud, Major?" King's voice was a low growl. "Silent." The engineers never saw them coming. The Nightmares dispatched them with ruthless efficiency, leaving no alarms raised, no evidence of their passage. Vance knelt by the core, his demolition kit spread before him. "Give me 5 minutes," he muttered, sweat beading on his forehead despite the temperature-controlled suit. "You've got 3, C said, keeping his rifle trained on the corridor ahead. Meanwhile, Earth's defenses launched their counteroffensive. A fleet of hastily assembled human ships surged toward the enemy, their captains fully aware of the slim odds of survival. On the ground, planetary defenses roared to life, their missile batteries and railguns painting the skies with streaks of light. Commander Stone coordinated the effort from the command center, her voice calm yet urgent as she directed reinforcements to critical points. "Hold the line," she repeated like a mantra. "No matter what, hold the line." The Empire's fleet responded with merciless efficiency. Energy blasts tore through human ships, and orbital bombardments rained fire on the surface. Yet humanity's resistance was tenacious, each loss met with another act of defiance. Back on the Dominion's Wrath, Vance's timer ticked down as he connected the final charges to the power core. "Done," he whispered. "On your mark, Major." King's lips curled into a grim smile. "Team, exfil route." "Vance, remote detonation in 60 seconds. Let's move." The Nightmares retraced their steps, but this time, Dominion security forces were on high alert. Alarms blared, and alien soldiers flooded the corridors. The team engaged in brief but brutal skirmishes, their superior training and equipment giving them the edge. Still, the enemy's sheer numbers began to take their toll. Reyes was the first to fall, a plasma blast striking him as he provided cover for Quinn. She dragged him into a side corridor, her face set in a mask of grief and fury. "Keep going," Reyes rasped, his voice weak. "Finish the mission." Kane hesitated, his instincts warring with his duty. Then he nodded, his expression hardening. "We'll come back for him. Move." The Dominion's Wrath shuddered as the charges detonated, the explosion rippling outward and disabling the ship's power core. Lights flickered, and gravity systems failed, throwing the interior into chaos. the flagship's shields fell, exposing it to Earth's orbital defenses. Drake seized the opportunity. All ships, focus fire on the Dominion's wrath. Take it out. The combined might of Earth's fleet converged on the flagship, battering it with relentless volleys. Without its shields, the Dominion's wrath succumbed, its hull rupturing in a fiery explosion that illuminated the void. The Empire's fleet faltered, their morale shattered by the loss of their flagship and its commanding officers. The battle turned in humanity's favor, with the Nightmares sowing havoc among the remaining ships and Earth's forces pressing their advantage. The Empire's fleet began to retreat. On the ground, cheers erupted as the skies cleared of enemy vessels. Back on the Revenant, King watched the battlefield from the observation deck, his face a mask of exhaustion and satisfaction. The mission had cost them dearly. Reyes was gone, and Quinn bore injuries that would take months to heal, but they had achieved the impossible. They had faced the Empire's might and emerged victorious. Weeks later, the Galactic Council convened once more, this time granting the human delegation a place of honor. The Sovereign's absence was conspicuous, his defeat had rendered him a figure of disgrace, and his once loyal allies now sought to distance themselves from his failure. President Hayes addressed the Assembly with measured authority. Humanity does not seek conquest, but let this stand as a warning: we will not be underestimated, and we will not tolerate aggression. We have proven our worth, not through domination, but through resilience and resolve. Her words were met with silence, then scattered applause, which soon grew into a standing ovation. The message was clear: humanity had earned its place among the stars. As for the Nightmares, their actions became the stuff of legend. The survivors of the team faded into the shadows, their identities classified, their deeds whispered about but never officially acknowledged. In the streets of alien worlds, children told stories of human ghosts who moved unseen, striking down the arrogant and the cruel. On a remote moon, King stood alone, watching as the Revenant was decommissioned. He lit a cigarette, the smoke curling upward into the cold night air. A soft voice broke the silence. "Thinking of quitting, Major?" Quinn asked, stepping beside him. King exhaled slowly, a faint smirk on his lips. "Not a chance. There's always another mission." As the Revenant's lights dimmed for the last time, King turned toward the horizon, his silhouette fading into the darkness. Humanity's nightmares had risen and retreated, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. But in the shadows, the Nightmares remained, waiting for the next time they would be called upon.